Hello and welcome to the What the Falk review show. It's been a little while since we've done anything like this where we kind of record on our phones. We record before the game, maybe during the game, I don't know if that'll be the case, and after the game it might work really well, especially when we win. That's always happened in the past. If you are listening to this now and we've got beat, sorry to have been broken the record, but me and Brad are both in Blackpool in the Travel Lodge overlooking the Bloomfield Road? Bloomfield Road. Brad, how are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, very good. I was very drunk last night, so when I seen you earlier, I was like on the road back to recovery. But now I've had a few pints. I'm tipping over the other end now. I'm sort of going to end up in the state Ross was on Boxing Day.
That state Ross was in, I didn't think you could actually get to that point.
Credit to him.
Yeah, fair play. I'm pleased he held it together. But obviously, we're looking at the team just now. Two changes, Brad. He's brought in Roberts, and obviously Sims has to come out because Everton have taken him back. Probably touch on that a little bit in a minute. But I think deserved start for Patrick Roberts. Bit of a shame for Abdullah Bar because he was very, very good. But Mishu keeps his place. What you meant in the lineup? Kind of deserved replacements and as expected, or?
I think it was as expected. I mean, the only change I was thinking maybe was Evans coming back in.
Yeah.
When Mowbray said he wasn't injured, it was just maybe a bit of fatigue. But he's on the bench. I thought Mishu first half, especially the other day, was actually looked very good. And it was a lot where I think Mowbray said before his injury that he was going to come back. He was going to get his start. So he's seen something. I think we've seen that the other day. Maybe it's a bit harsh on Bar, but I think Bar put a hell of a shift in. You've got to think he came off with a bit of a knock as well. So maybe it's precautionary why he's not starting. But yeah, it's as expected. Roberts definitely deserves his chance because when he came on the other day, him and Ahmad just took the piss.
Yeah.
Absolutely took the piss. And if them two can link up, Mowbray said for weeks he has to find a way to get these two both in the same team. They're both in there, let's see what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we'll probably see Diallo in that kind of free role almost, but number 10 on the team sheet like he did the other night, and well, he decent goal the other night. It wasn't too bad. It was one of the only goals I hadn't celebrated for a while. We both just watched the telly, me and Ash, and went, oh my God, by the way.
Just hands on your head like Dan Nealon on iron. It was amazing.
Saying that he'll be due a stinker now, but fingers crossed when you listen to this he hasn't. But I think time is speaking obviously, and anything can change after 90 minutes. It's a long time in footy, but hard to drop Mishu, who I thought was really, really good the other night. And you know what I quite liked about Mishu? I always thought he was a number 10, but he looked like actually Bar and Mishu switched around. I agree with you on Bar. I think it's really unlucky. I really liked him in that advanced role, but you cannot not play Patrick Roberts. Roberts came on for the last 30 minutes. He won a penalty, he scored the second one, was involved in the build-up for the third one as well, and then obviously the fourth one he's got the assist for as well after a nice little bit of play. So it's like, if you don't start him at this point, I don't think it's going to be a case of Roberts knocking on the door. He's going to knock it down.
There'll be no door left. As unnamed man once said.
Yes, unnamed man. But I think it's a really big chance to put another win on the board, and maybe it's because it's Blackpool on New Year's Day and we've all had a little bit too much to drink, and we've all been kind of riding on the crest of a wave, but it does feel like a really good time for Sunderland to kick on even further and maybe start. I don't know if you can look much further up the table, but I think if we get a third win on the bounce today, that is massive in the context of maybe changing what we think this season could be, isn't it?
It's huge, yeah. I mean, Blackburn was the early kick-off, and I've just looked there and they've won 1-0. So now it's weird to say we need to start keeping in touch with Blackburn, maybe. And I mean, they don't draw, so at some point they're gonna lose. We need to be ready to strike and overtake them, and then we need to be the team now with a different mentality of teams are trying to chase us down. We're in this position on merit. We've played well. I think we need to sort of kick on and make sure that we're not looking behind us now. We're always looking forward.
Yes, and I think I was saying the other night, worst case scenario, say we don't win today or we win today and then lose in a couple of weeks, we're going to lose games. And I think I said the most impressive thing is we rarely lose games back to back or 3 games in a row, which is, I think, is massive. I think I've said numerous times since we've even done this podcast that the reaction is always the most important thing, not the actual when you get beat. We are going to lose games at some point. And if we don't get playoffs, no one's going to cry and moan about it and get angry. But there's a real I might cry depending on how close it is. Like
I will. I predicted 5th.
You did.
And I just love taking the piss out of you, saying I knew this would happen.
The thing is, we're winding this back to the last day of the season, and it's like going to be like 99-2000, where we've just got to win and hope Chelsea get beat to get into Europe, and go, what if we get in Europe? It'd be nice, and then you gutted that. Yeah,
absolutely devastated.
But I think on a serious note, it's less pressure. It's so much less pressure on Sunderland to get in the playoffs, because if we don't, that's all right. I think even at this point, even unless we went on a dramatically bad run, which is always possible with any team, and especially in this division, you can see it's a real season of progress, and probably better than what we expected, even if we maybe fritter away and come back a little bit. But I wanted, before obviously we move on to the next bit will be probably either half time or it'll be full time, our reaction, stuff like that, and hopefully we're as happy. But Ellis Sims obviously not in the team today because he's been recalled by Blackpool, Everton. Sorry, he used to play for Blackpool.
He did.
So I don't think I'm saying anything different here, Brad, but it really took me back a little bit that they've got rid of him, and I think, if I'm honest, I want to downplay it, but I think that's quite a big miss, if I'm honest, Ellis Sims.
It is, yeah. I mean, he's done well. I did say the other day for their goal, Wigan's goal, I thought he was a little bit lazy.
Yeah, he was.
And that's the first time I think I've said it. I even had a little, was it a Twitter argument with Keelan? Nah, maybe it's not. It was just something where he's disagreed with what I've said. But
love Matt Keelan.
He's a good lad, but we had a bit of a difference of opinion, which is fine. Look, he's played 15, 16 games, scored 7 goals, couple of assists. That's great.
He's not Premier League quality.
He's not. And
I'm sorry, Ellis, but I hope he proves us wrong, because I'd be
he
so
won't be by the end
him.
of the season. He needs 2 years in this league.
I think he does.
The potential's there.
Oh, absolutely.
Everton bringing him back, and then Lampard's comments saying they need him off the bench at some games. It's
like another option.
Are they trying to stop his development? That's my worry. Is he'll go back there, he might score 1 or 2 before now until the end of the season, because he gets thrown on when they're 3-0 down. He'll pull one back. That's not going to help his development.
No.
He's scoring a goal, which is meaningless, because he's not playing from the start. He might get a look in from now on. What's left in the Premier League? 25, 30 games, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be lucky to start 5.
Yeah.
Because Calvert-Lewin's now back, and that's their main man.
And I mean, Calvert-Lewin in the Championship would score about 40 goals, probably.
He would. I mean, I can see why Everton have done it. Look, they need to score goals, and ultimately, he's their player. Mm-hmm. And we knew at any point, and it's the same with Ahmad, touch wood,
quickly.
That they can be recalled. That's one of the things with the loans. I mean, one example you can go back to is last season we recalled Anthony Patterson.
Yeah.
Because we needed him, we were short. And look, he's turned out to be our number 1. And Notts County fans were a little bit pissed off. You can see why, but ultimately, we're his parent club, Everton Sims' parent club. If they think they can get him in the side, good luck to him. I wish him so much luck. I just think Everton have taken a big gamble on his development at such a young age.
We did it with Pickford at Preston. We brought him back and didn't really play him.
Yeah. I'm not going to say Ellis Sims is now going to be England's number 9. But
certainly not
it can work both ways. I mean, there's players that have been recalled before, and I've got no examples, but you've seen them be recalled and then they just fizzle to nothing.
I feel sorry for Ellis Sims. That's who I feel most sorry for, because I think ultimately Sunderland will probably now be forced to bring in a striker. I think it also potentially gives us maybe. I know that the numbers are coming out about Ross Stewart today. I better not touch on that. If I say anything, I'll be in big trouble.
No, we'll leave it.
If I say anything, I'll be in big trouble. So I prefer not to speak. But I think with Sims, ultimately, we can probably replace him. We can probably bring someone in, and he's not our main striker, but I think for me, Ellis Sims he scored 2 in his last 2. He's starting to look like a real good finisher. He's starting to be really appreciated by the Sunderland fans. I know he's a bit Marmite, but you see, I mean, I think he works.
He's a finisher. You were talking about it on the pod the other day. I think he works his knackers
off as well, but he's a great finisher as well.
With that guy from the Blackpool pod.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't see Yates, for example, as a replacement for Ross Stewart, which now makes me think, following from Keith Downey's tweet yesterday. He's heard the rumour about Stewart's contract, and then heard that we maybe he's looking at Jerry Yates, put 2 and 2 together and said Yates a replacement. I think the club have known this for maybe a week or 2, and they've touted Yates as maybe as the replacement for Sims.
What's your thoughts on, because obviously
And he's not in the team today, Yates. He's on the bench.
Yeah.
Which is
interesting.
Is there something in that?
Before Sims got recalled, or there's even talk of it, there was talk that they were going to recall Broadhead. There's a few people saying don't go for it. There is an element of me, to be honest, that thinks yes, go for it. There's also another part of me that says, well, I can't remember who tweeted it the other day, but it really made me laugh. Obviously, I think people would have saw it, put, hi, at Nathan Broadhead, do you want picking up in the morning, pal? And some guy quote tweeted it, which was very funny, and said he probably won't want the lift unless he's got the front seat, which I thought was actually quite clever. But there's that element as well. But I think ultimately, if Nathan's available on a permanent deal, I don't want a loan.
I wouldn't take that. That's what you're saying there. I would not take him back on loan.
£1 million, and I think there's a question to be asked.
Yeah. I would have taken, but I'd have snapped your hand off the border back in the summer.
Yeah.
When it comes out that he didn't think he would get in ahead of Sims or Stewart, and he wasn't willing to come for the fight, and thought he'll go to Wigan, who've got 7 strikers, and he'll go in the Wales squad.
Can't confirm that, to be fair, but that was what Alex Neil hinted at.
That's the big talk, isn't it?
That's what Alex Neil hinted at.
Now he's coming back in. If he comes in, then we go and buy another striker. Is he going to sulk again? But if it's a permanent, then he knows he's our player. This is his home. Yeah, I'm all for that, but no, don't get him back on loan.
Nah, I think the same as well.
I hate falling in love with loan players.
I'm fed up with it.
I'd be fucking arsed with another one.
I'm still sad about Danny Rose leaving. But ultimately, back into today's game. By the time you're listening to this, you're going to know the score. You're going to know how he performed. Hopefully, it's as optimistic as it feels at the moment before the game. But I think I have a feeling today. If I'm going to make a prediction, I said 1-1 during the week. I'm not going to change from it. And that is shielded out with the fact of I'm not used to seeing Sunderland win 3 games in a row. Not because I don't feel confident, but I think ultimately, if you're Sunderland as a team and Mowbray as a manager, you've got to look at today's game and say, well, there's 3 points that are on offer, isn't there?
Yeah. That's what I spoke to you in the pub about it, and I'm feeling very confident. I think we'll beat them 3-0. I think there's that sort of. I'm going to sound like a fucking idiot when we get beat 3-0. But I just feel like the other day I don't think we got out third gear, and we made Wigan look like a Sunday League team. And
Wigan beat these.
Ahmad probably wasn't even his best game, but he has that bit of quality. And I even put in the group with us at half time the other day, you've got to think we've got Stewart. We're playing alright, we're battering them. But we've got Stewart, Pritchard and Roberts to come on. 2 out of the 3 of them are starting today. I can't see anything other than a Sunderland win.
Well, fingers crossed. Brad will probably reconvene either at 8 half time or full time, depends if I can find you. But I think. Does Ashley, do you have a prediction?
Do you have a prediction?
She doesn't have a prediction.
Ashley says Blackpool win.
But hopefully we're back at half time or full time, depends on what happens next. You'll soon know in a minute or seconds. And Sunderland have performed as well as they have done the past few games. If not, well,
we've had a good festive period anyway.
We've enjoyed ourselves, haven't we? Came back at half time, but I'll be honest, I wish we hadn't. I wish we just packed it in, mate. Like the 3-0 win is not on.
Will you edit that out?
I'll try my best, mate. But yeah, like I said, hopefully with the positive feeling will continue into the match, and so far, I'll be honest, it hasn't. Brad, first off, not really good enough, is it?
No, they look like they want it more.
100% agree on that. This is desire, it's not about quality.
I think when the injury happened to Roberts, have we changed shape to a back four? We've looked a little bit better. I mean, that's not saying much because we started off absolutely appalling. We're getting in good areas at times, but it's not happening enough. I mean, we've had that one, Ahmad's at the bar again, identical to the Wigan one, I think. I mean, we waxed lyrical about him earlier in the season, but for me, the last 10 games, Jack Clark has not been at it.
At least 5, yeah, he's been poor.
He's been put through there by Ahmad on the far side, and the first touch is appalling. And he's not doing the same as what he'd done earlier in the season, where he's getting the ball and he's running at people, he's stopping and coming back, and we're having to start again. It just seems a little bit pedestrian for me.
I think Jack Clark, I hope he proves me wrong. And obviously, he had a great start of the season, but I would say at least the last 5. I said it against Wigan. If I was to say anyone I thought was a little bit under par, it was maybe Jack Clark. But you're obviously not going to complain when you were so good as we were against Wigan. But like the one way he's tried to take 4 players on in the box, like just get your shot off. Diallo took the ball off him, beat 2 men within like quick second and got a shot, and it was blocked. Fair enough, but Jack Clark's like he's been doing it all season where. And to be fair, he's got like 4 goals and 6 assists, so I can't complain too much. But like I can't really remember his last assist, and there's been a few times this season where you're like, pull the trigger. You've done all of the hard work. We're
starting to see, and I hope it's not going to be something where other fans have said when we've signed Jack Clark, when he's been on loan at them, you just can't cut it. We know he's got the capabilities, but lately I've seen the Jack Clark that signed for us in the January, February, March period.
Yes.
Where he's just so frustrating. He's got talent, and I'm not just digging him out.
No, I mean, no, not at all. Like.
I'm seeing that type of Jack Clark, and we know he's got the capability, and that's what the frustrating thing is for me.
But you can, for me, it just, and not everyone, Diallo, Roberts, great little bit of play, Ballard's done well, but even like, there's a few plays there that just, for me, have just not had the second ball, not got the loose balls, and that for me always comes down to just desire, and that's my worry.
They look dangerous on the break because they want it, and when they're running at us, I'm like, oh. But I don't know if we have, but it looks like we have changed to a back 4, and we look a little bit more compact, because they have got in behind us a few times as a back 3. Listen, we know we can do well as a back 3, but keep this shape. Mowbray is going to be getting into them at half time, and like you said, when Roberts and Ahmad are getting on the ball, it looks like things are going to happen. Jay Hume is getting by them.
I think Hume's been excellent for what it's worth. I think it's a good game. I think he's won all of his battles. He's backed Roberts,
and he's getting forward.
Yep.
Even when we're back 4, he's getting forward. We need to start giving Stewart more service into the box. I mean, there's once or twice half chances have fell to him. But when Stewart's getting the ball, he's coming so deep, or he's winning something in the air, and there's no one winning off him. We need someone closer to Ross Stewart. We need to get Ahmad. For me, Ahmad and Roberts are the ones that can change this, because when they get the ball, it looks like their defence is terrified of them.
Yeah,
and we have to utilise that.
There's the big thing for me is, and I hope it changes at half time, and hopefully by the time you listen to it full time, this has been changed and we're all delighted, and it's, oh, Graham's right. But for me, I praised him at the hilt during the week, and for me, just haven't wanted it today, and that's been my issue.
Well, he got in a yellow card early on, so he's. You always say he's like walking the tightrope, isn't he? I said to the lad sat next to me at half time, the change I'd make straight away, especially with the shape change, is I'd be bringing Corey Evans on.
100%.
For Mishu, and now it's nothing against him. Look, he's a young lad. He's going to have bad games. He's going to have good games. Just take him off. Take him out the firing line. He's on the yellow card, so he can't put any tackles in. Bring Corey Evans on. That just gives us that little bit continuity that we've had all season alongside Dan Neil.
Yeah.
It's the two in midfield now. It's relatively new for them, and they're both young lads. Bring Corey Evans on. Shore that up just in front of the defence, and let's just get at them. They're here for the taking. Don't get me wrong. I have no doubt at all that we can come out second half and bang 2, 3, 4 goals in.
Yeah, I mean, like if we can play the level we can play, I think that's the point I was trying to make before. The frustration is when we have played poorly. Sorry, it's not because we're like just angry about playing poorly. It's because they've set such a standard. Like all of the players,
such a high standard that we've set.
Yep.
When they dip below it, they're right to be criticised, because if we hadn't had such a good season, then we can maybe accept some games like this. But because we know that they're capable,
it makes
we're disappointed. It's not frustrating. I would say it's a disappointment. They know they can do it. We know they can do it. They're just not playing at that level. And all it takes is that extra little tiny step up. These are near the fucking bottom for a reason. We're near the top. We need to get at them. It's just fine margins. Like there's been balls put in behind, and we're just not making the most of it. But we're getting in good areas where on another day we'd have maybe scored 3 or 4 in that first half without playing well. We've done it in the past. We've scored once or twice at least without playing well.
Yeah.
Because of the talent we've got. We need to. I can still see us scoring, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like I've just said, the shape change, the last 5, 10, 15 minutes of that first half, we were getting at them a little bit more.
Hit the bar.
We've hit the bar. Roberts has darted past them from the right-hand side, danced throughout the team.
Unbelievable run that, by the way.
And
talk about desire, and that was sheer desire to get the ball forward.
Absolutely.
So like take Diallo and Roberts and Human a few players out of that desire comment, because I thought Roberts' desire just to get past his man and do whatever he could to get us right up the pitch was tremendous. And I think
we're not playing to Ross Stewart's strengths, mind.
Yeah, he's not playing the same.
We're playing the same type of football as we were playing when we didn't have a striker. We were trying to hold on for it for too long. We're not utilising the fact we've got a 6'6" fella in the centre. Just put it into him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get on the end of it, it's not their fault, it's Ross Stewart's fault.
We need to stop allowing, on the opposite end, Medine to have so much say.
Yeah.
I feel like Medine is just like trying to stick his arm in Ballard's face before.
Yeah, he's trying to bully them.
And he's to be fair, I've never seen Bailey Wright done for like physicality or that much pace and that maybe, but I feel like Medine has won every ball against Bailey Wright today, and that's a bit of a concern because it's allowing their like young tricky players that realistically you can squash because of the size, like the Patinos and stuff like that. They're getting more and more into the game, but Brad I
think we missed Danny Bart, and I know we've won the last two.
Danny Bart would not have lost.
We could win
that
5 in a row. I'd still say at the back we still miss a Danny Bart figure.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I would say is a bit of a concern. If we have to continue for how long, the players we've got, Bright can do a job. We know how well Lugo and Ian plays. We still don't. I'm not as confident as I was when we were lining up. If in a back three, we're Bart at the heart of it.
He's been our best player this season.
That's my worry. But listen, it's 1-0.
Still in it.
We've turned it around in the past. Wigan were 1-0 down at half time. We've been 2-0 up in games and fucking teams have turned it around by not. And I'm hoping that it's the old, when you were talking to your Blackburn fan on the preview pod, that Tony Mowbray, Morgan's teams play well first or second half. I'm hoping that's the bad one out of the way and we do something second half. I hope that actually comes into fruition now.
Yeah, and I think obviously we've talked a bit at half time. We don't normally do this. I think probably if that continues, the poor first half, then we kind of dissect it and look a bit more into it, and then see. But there's 45 minutes to go yet, and it's funny how big 45 minutes is in football. If we can turn it around and play the football we can play, fair enough. And you know what, if we don't, we'll try our best not to be downbeat when you come back. And we said just during the week, the best thing about Sunderland this season is we've always responded to occasional bad performances. So I will tip us to get it back, and I'll stick with my 1-1 prediction.
Can I say 3-1 now?
Yeah.
Now we've conceded. I still think we'll score 3.
4 goals, you just wanted it slightly differently. Yeah, fair enough. Right, catch you full time. Hopefully it's a lot cheerier. So we're back, and before we go in any aspect of the game, I just want to point out that I got a prediction right. That's 2 in 24, which is the start.
We'll go with 2 in 60 because I don't think you got any right last year, did you?
No, I got 4 near the start of the season and then tailed off a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, I think obviously everyone will have been listening to the second part, or the third part, now when you've listened to the second part of half time, and obviously we weren't happy with what we'd seen first half, although we were realistic. We said we were in it. Ultimately, lo and behold, we did what we hoped we would do and had a really good second half. Really turned up in the second half, got a goal a couple of inches away from maybe getting a second. And in a sense, we're talking at like 5:15 just now back in the hotel in Blackpool, and it feels like, you know, maybe we could have won that, but we didn't. Ultimately, I've left the game feeling really positive. But Brad, you're back with me. We discussed a lot on half time about the performance and how it needed to improve. Thoughts on that second half performance?
Much better. I did say it's a typical Mowbray one where hopefully the first half, with us being shite, we're going to be good second half. And credit to every single one of them second half. I thought they all came off with their heads held high. Like you said, we should have nicked it. Ross Stewart could have got on the end of one. Ahmad, Stewart at the bar again. It's just these fine margins, but ultimately, mate, we said come through this Christmas period with 7 points, we'd be delighted. I'm happy. I know we got in on Jack Clark a bit at half time. Thought he was really good second half.
Great second half from him, yep.
But one player I think that made a difference for me was Abdullah Bar when he came on. I just think he gave us something extra in midfield. Got his foot on the ball a bit, broke up play, but drove us forward. I can't really argue.
Touched on Bar there. I think, you know, us in the crowd and the lads and the lasses who were with us, and I think we touched on the half time. I haven't edited back, so maybe we didn't, but I'm pretty certain we said that Corey Evans would have made a difference for Michu. As it was Bar that came on, and I thought one thing I like about Bar, I thought we were going to get like a Corey Evans, a young Corey Evans, and a French version of him that can like distribute a little bit. But I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be a bit more defensive, but the last 2 games he's played a bit more advanced, and he really gives us something. And before we go into his performance, what I quite liked about Bar was, and I don't know how many people saw this, but at the end, obviously, he had the chance to put the ball in. It was cleared. The end of the 90 minutes, when the minute the whistle's gone, he's lying on the floor, punching the floor because he's so frustrated that we haven't won the game, and potentially with like the fact that he felt the ball wasn't good enough. But I thought he gave us a real impetus. I thought, and I think after having 4 or 5 games where we hadn't seen him, he's really starting to show what excited us originally, but in a more advanced position. It looks like we've got a player on our hands there, doesn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we said how much we said we enjoyed Michu's performance the other night. He was hampered early doors today with his yellow card. We probably didn't see him at his best.
Yeah.
And that's not taking anything away from him. Referee was dishing yellow cards out today like they were going out of fashion.
I didn't think he was great today, Michu, but he's a young boy, and like you've got to give him a little bit of patience. Whether he come from PSG or Morecambe, he's still the same age.
We'll give Bar that same patience, and look, that's paid off.
Exactly.
But yeah, I just thought he was excellent when he came on. Just the way he kept getting us up the pitch, turning his man on like inside our half, and just driving us that 10-15 yards. And then just giving it to our flair players. Like I say, Jack Clark, really good. A lot of our good work came down that side second half. And I thought Roberts and Ahmad linked up very well second half as well. That was something I was really happy to see. But I've just said before we came on the pod, another player that I want to quickly touch on for me was Trey Hume again.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I mean, I know people will say, he's just filling in for now, but for me, Gooch has to work hard to get his place back, because the last 2 games, Hume's undroppable. He was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he got the assist with the header today, and we talked first half about Desire, and I talked about how it annoyed me that it wasn't there, and I said it better be there second half. It was, and I think kind of evidence of that was the fact that when that loose ball dropped in the box, he anticipated it and he went for it. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been Daniel, but I'm pretty certain it was Trey Hume. Either way, the Desire that came from to win that header and give Stewart the chance was kind of what made the difference for me. We got the ball first, second half. You touched on Diallo and Roberts there. Honestly, like, there was a point today when I turned around and went, I can't believe I'm watching Sunderland the way them 2 players.
Have a joy to watch them too.
It's lovely, and they're lovely footballers.
Like I say, are we disappointed we haven't got a win? But I'm more confident, I'm more positive just by watching the football we're playing. We're going to win more than we're going to lose if we keep playing like that. We didn't lose, which is absolutely fine. Look, we came away from home on New Year. It's not a bad result considering the first half.
It's 7 points with maybe a poor 45 out of the 3 of them, and again we've talked a lot about response with Sunderland this season, and I don't want to go back through all the things that could have set us back, but typical Sunderland, losing our manager 4 games in, there's a setback. Losing Ross Stewart for 3 months, there's a huge setback. Losing Ella Sims for I think 9-10 games, 11 actually I think,
and now forever another knock again today. And he's not the only, like Danny Bart's been our player this season, he's been out for the past few weeks. This first half, poor, second to most balls. You can hear what we thought at half time, and we talked about response, and we said, look, let's hope that we're back on the response, and we're what, an inch away from winning 3-3. And I think ultimately, that's as much as the football's nice, as much as the signings seem to have worked, as much as you've got good young players coming through, it's ultimately attitude. I've seen desire and will to win second balls and will to win. And I said, I've seen the lads bring it plenty of times this season in games when I kind of felt they needed it and they've set a standard. And we said that at half time, and in the second half they did raise a standard. I know Blackpool are second bottom or whatever, I know they're not in great form, but they're a tricky team to play against, and the first half was poor. We had to come back into it. We weren't really getting much clear-cut chances. They went really narrow, really deep, and second half I'm really struggling to say any player wasn't very good. I thought Michu was poor today, but even second half he picked up a bit. Seemed to expect that the tackles were going to be hard and they're going to try and squash him, and he started getting better. For me, you touched on Trey Hume.
there's one player who I thought set the entire tone second half for me, and he had a fantastic game during the week against Wigan, and I thought he had a fantastic second half, and I thought he drove us forward and made all the right decisions. Dan Neil.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I thought he was very tidy. He's not scared of coming deep and playing that Corey Evans role well, but he's not scared of turning his man.
No.
It has maybe he's been a detriment to him in the past. One that comes to mind is Sheffield United.
Yeah.
But he's not scared to do it. He's not dwelling on it. So it was really good. And another one that I want to quickly mention is our man Luke again. There was a point in the second half he put a great tackle in, and he just came to the crowd and got us all going. And I think that drove us on as well.
Crowd was great second half, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, you said there Blackpool's a tricky place to come. I thought their crowd, to be fair, I've said to you, I will never compliment a crowd with a drum, but they were quite good.
Yeah, I thought
they got behind their team. They made it a bit of a hostile environment for our players.
Yep.
Pitch is so narrow to the fans, so close. But the lads stood up to the second half. Look, we've said everything we need to say at half time about what happened first half. We're now speaking, for me, about the second half, and I'm happy with it. I am a little bit disappointed that we didn't get, because like you say, it's an inch. If we've hit the bar first half with Diallo, we've hit the bar with Stewart. Stewart should have gotten the end of one in the second half. Ahmad's an inch away from heading it in. It's just these fine margins, but all in all, we've came away, we've got a point, and we've picked up second half. We've corrected the mistakes that were there first half for me, and like you say, the desire was there second half.
Yep.
I think Tony Mowbray's team talk was maybe linked to your phone, because everything that we said at half time corrected in the second half. So
we're not doing that again then.
No. So no, it's fine. It's not the best thing in the world, but for me it's fine.
Yeah, and I can't remember when we discussed it, but I'm pretty certain on one of the review shows we said, like going into the Christmas period, how many would you be happy with? And I think pretty much all of us felt that even 7 was an overreach, because there was 2 away games there with, I know near the bottom of the league, but Wigan and Blackpool, anyone can beat anyone in this league. Look, let's be honest about it. Like, you can beat, even when we were like the worst championship side that I've ever seen in my life, we went and like
Derby
4-1 on a Friday night. Like, so any of that kind of thing can happen. There's no easy games in this league, as cliche as it is. And we also had a game against third in the league that hadn't lost a game once to go in front. We've come out of it with 7 points. We've now, most importantly, and I think this is a big thing, we spoke about this just obviously, I was going to say privately, that sounds like we've had a private conversation. We spoke about this and didn't record it, about the break we've now got. Potentially, I don't know whether we'll see anyone come in before then. You never know. I mean, there might have been people that are lined up. I imagine they've got specific targets that might not happen in the first week. But with Shrewsbury in the Cup, look, an FA Cup run would be amazing. I'd love it, and I really don't want to get beat at Shrewsbury because they're a team below us. There's a couple of excellent players in there, and you don't want any momentum to be sort of taken away from the way the team and the club are at the minute. But ultimately, we can probably afford to make 1 or 2 changes and should come out with a win. But ultimately, a big rest for a couple of players, because we haven't got a league game for a couple of weeks, I think.
I would say it would be a rest for some of them, but with the injuries we've got, we might be forcing to play, and a lot of the lads who would naturally have came out the side, the likes of Bailey Wright, would have been playing as a fringe player, but now he will have to play because we haven't really got a choice. I think when we play in the Cup, you might see Riggs was on the bench today, just a kid,
the young boy.
I think you might see him make his professional debut. That'd be great to see.
How old are you again? 12? 13?
Around then. He's in the model.
He's got
a model.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for some of the lads who are coming back from injury, like Ballard, Stewart, it's a chance for them to get a rest after like a hectic Christmas schedule. I think we might see 4 or 5 changes, and there might be some of the lads from the 23s that do get put in. Obviously Patterson will get a rest.
No, because Alex Bass will be going up front, so we can score from our set pieces.
No, we're not playing in Newcastle. We won't go up front then. And I think Ahmad will be taken out. He's got to have a rest. He's played literally every minute since.
The last thing we want is a League One like defender just slightly missed.
He's just getting a stupid niggle or a muscle injury out like that. You take the likes of Ahmad, Clark, Roberts. You take them out the side, and you chuck in the likes of like Ball, get him from the start. Bennett, Diaku. We said Diaku's got something about him. Whether he's going to really make the next step up. But he was a League One player last year. It's a chance to see what he can do again.
Yeah, and you've got like the likes of Huggins and that. I mean, I suppose a lot depends on whether they go on loan as well. There's been a bit of a hint today, sort of between people at the ground, and we heard a little bit about. I think it was Diaco and Huggins maybe going on loan. I don't think it would surprise that many people. I have a feeling, I don't know why, because he's an attacking option. He played up front, and I don't think he's a forward as much as I don't think Leon Diaco is a forward. But potentially Jack Diamond could maybe return.
Yeah, there's been whispers he's going to be coming back. And obviously today's the news that Ellis Taylor's been recalled from Hartlepool.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised to maybe see him get some minutes in, because he's played 86 minutes since he's been on loan there.
Yeah.
Waste of time, so maybe see him get some minutes in him, see what he's about. We're playing a League One side. If we win, great. If we lose, oh well. It's. I don't want to see us lose.
No, same.
But it's not gonna really affect my mood too much if we get knocked out of the FA Cup, because cup runs in the past, as we well know, even though it was the Papa John's, has been a detriment to what the season is. So if we get knocked out, so be it. If we go through, we get a good tie, great.
Yeah.
Happy either way. But it is a chance to give these lads a little bit of a rest, because I think they are starting to become knackered, and they're all bent still. You've got to remember that. They're still young.
And I heard, obviously we heard today as well that a lot of the boys that played, we heard this after the game, and I think it's not just us here now, obviously we haven't confirmed it, and Tony Mowbray might have spoke about it since then, or denied it, who knows, but I think there was a virus going around a bit today.
Yeah.
I heard that, so potentially some of those players that were playing today were not feeling very well, so again another blooming setback, another one we've bounced back from if it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ross said it in the group halfway through, didn't he?
Yeah.
Some of them, and when I looked, Luke O'Nien had a big patch of Vicks on. I think Ballard did. There was a few of them that had the big. Yeah, I think there was a virus.
The size of Ballard's chest, that must have been like a massive tub of Vicks, because
a 5 litre tub.
I was looking at him today and I was just like, that man is an absolute unit.
He's huge. He's absolutely huge. You don't realise. I mean, I haven't seen him up close. Probably the first game I have seen him that close, because usually stage him like you're miles away. He's massive.
He's enormous, mate.
It's scary how big he is.
Good player as well.
Yeah, he's very tidy.
Really good since he's came back in.
Very tidy. He's pretty much picked up where he left off. One or two little mishaps, give away the penalty, silly foul today on the far side, but all in all, he's a good tidy player.
Sound, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can really be negative about the second half. No. I said more about negative stuff first half. If we were doing this on the normal podcast, we review the full game, we'd get into it a bit more, but everything negative was said first half. There was nothing second half where I was thinking, everything was fine.
Yeah, ultimately positive again. Another review show where we've ended maybe not winning the game but feeling positive. I can count on one hand again the amount of times we've came on and felt really negative, and the only one I can think of has been the Cardiff game. The lads responded again, they got a result. Ross Stewart scored again, rinse and repeat. I
said you just outside the ground, Ross Stewart was below the levels that we expect of him. I thought,
yeah, he wasn't
his standards, he was quite poor. He still scored a goal, hit the bar, he still made himself busy. He wasn't as good as he was in the past, but again, that was what we said at half time. They're not giving him the service. We're playing as if we didn't have a striker, but that changed second half. That man's like worth his weight in gold. It's frightening if we don't have him, because he's scored in the last few games, and these results would have been a loss today, maybe been a draw against Blackburn. Do we then go on he scored the second against Wigan?
Technically would have beat Blackburn 1-0 because he scored in both ends.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean,
he's massive, isn't he? We haven't even touched on it, but he's so important, Ross Stewart. Like, oh man, I've spoke about this so many times, and I feel like a blooming broken record. He's irreplaceable.
It'll break our heart if he goes.
He's irreplaceable.
For me, I think regardless, I think he will stay through January, and they'll reevaluate in the summer.
Yeah, and
ultimately he's got 18 months on his contract. We're in no position where we have to sell. I'd be just devastated if he goes to a Championship club. If a Premier League team comes in and offers him the money and the step up, look, you've got to say, look, go and enjoy it. But if it's over penny pinching for another team in the Championship, that's when they might see a bit of a backlash. If he goes to the Premier League, hold your hands up and say, look mate, go and enjoy it.
Even your Rangers or a Celtic, I mean obviously I know they're not linked, but a Rangers or a Celtic, you could say, well, potential bash of Champions League football, obviously both hugely passionate crowds. You can make allowances for those sort of moves, but I think ultimately, like another massive point on the board in many ways, and a great response. More players coming out with credit than not, which, considering where we were at half time, I'm happy with that. Brad, are you happy with it?
Yeah, there's no reason not to be. Like, we've came from behind, we showed a bit of character, and just looking now, we're still 6th in the league, we're still in the playoffs. Granted, Watford and Borough play tomorrow, and Norwich, but Norwich and Watford play each other, so both of them can't win.
Yeah.
It's a point, it's 7 points over Christmas. That's
it.
a great return. To be fair, I thought we'd have beaten Blackpool. When we were looking at it, about the 7 points, I thought Blackburn would have been the draw. And the other two we probably would have won. We've won the first two. This one we've got a point. Great. Put in the back pocket. Enjoy your new year, and we'll have a little break. And then we come back against Swansea, I believe, is it, on the 14th?
Swansea on the 14th.
More than a winnable game.
Yeah, why not? Happy New Year, everyone. Cheers for the support throughout the year. I did a little post yesterday. Like, subscribe, whatever. Do what you want. Enjoy.
Stick it up your ass.
Stick it up your ass, that's the one.